Well, this week, President Donald Trump signed a new, more limited travel ban on 6 predominantly Muslim countries, revising the previous executive order he signed in January. Now, that first travel ban led to a number of legal challenges, which resulted in U.S. federal courts blocking its implementation. The new executive order makes a number of modifications, stopping the issuance of visas for 90 days for citizens from 6, not 7 nations, and suspending the U.S. refugee program for 120 days. Here in the U.S., speaking out on both sides of the issue were several immigrants that we spoke with. VOA's Carolyn Pursuti has our report.
It seems everyone in America has an opinion about the new travel order.
So there are briefs due today and briefs due tomorrow.
And as the previous order was under judicial suspension.
It's a central constitutional problem.
Today's main focus of the news is
this revised executive order.
We've heard a lot from political pundits and experts about it, but we wanted to take you to the real people, American immigrants, to see what they think. Many Washington, D.C. cab drivers are from elsewhere.
My name is Lama Safa. I came from Ethiopia.
My name is Mangus Gabre. I'm from Eritrea.
I'm from Pakistan.
Cabs are the lifeblood of the nation's capital.
Somalia is supposed to be American allies.
Abdi Hassan is from Somalia. The 90-day travel ban affects his country and 5 others: Sudan, Yemen, Libya, Iran, and Syria. Liaquat Hussein came to the U.S. in 1967. He agrees with the extra security measures to prevent terrorism.
It's not mean all Muslim is bad, and United States didn't ban everybody. They're banning bad people.
But are we banning just the bad people? Joining us once again to talk about the president's travel ban, VOA White House Bureau Chief Steve Herman. I thank you for sticking around for this second segment. So, Steve, you're very familiar with this, with the first order. How is this ban any different from the previous one?
Well, it's more of a lighter ban for some of the reasons that you mentioned.
Travel ban light?
Yes, it doesn't apply to the green card holders. But I think that something also that is significant to talk about with this is what is in this and what is actually happening at the borders. And we're hearing all sorts of stories about basically a more extreme vetting occurring on travelers coming into the United States, kind of a racial profiling. Muhammad Ali's son, for example, was asked some questions. He's a U.S. citizen. So there's definitely what appears to be more racial profiling, regardless of what the administration is saying.
I'm wondering if the intent of this ban has changed, whether or not this is still essentially a Muslim ban, as some of its critics suggest it is.
The administration wholly rejects that categorization of this, and there's also now not the favoritism that was shown to religious minorities, specifically Christians from Syria. So that's been taken out as well.
What was interesting, Steve, is the administration says the executive order is unreviewable, but we are already seeing challenges.
Yes.
In fact, Hawaii became the first U.S. state to file a lawsuit against President Trump's revised executive order. He argues the new order will harm the state's Muslim population, and Hawaii's District Attorney Doug Chin argued that the travel ban discriminates against people based on their nation of origin and religion.
Back in 1965, there was a decision by Congress to say we're no longer going to discriminate against people based upon their nation of origin, and that's specifically in the immigration law. So the problem with these executive orders is that it's taking us back to pre-1965 because it's putting out actual countries and saying all of these people are presumptively terrorists, and that's a problem.
So the United States, according to at least the opponents of this ban, are targeting or discriminating against nations. Is that likely going to be the basis of the next legal challenge?
Well, there is going to be a continued legal challenge, trying to wrap the first one into the second one. Washington State, again, is leading that. There's at least, I think, 5 or 6 other states that are joining that effort. There will be a new motion filed by Washington State next week. So the administration can say this is not reviewable, but that's going to be up to federal judges to decide.
It's going to be reviewed. So what is the State Department's view on this latest travel ban? Because I understand it's about plugging vulnerabilities is what they're saying.
Well, absolutely. That's the argument. And there's been a lot of discussion on social media and the commentators on TV saying, well, look at the people who've come in from these countries. They have not caused any lethal attacks in the United States. But the administration's point of view is this is about preventing future attacks. And they feel that the vetting systems, perhaps the issuance of passports, of confirming identities in these countries that are on the list are not up to snuff. And also, we've had a warning that from the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security that other countries could be put on the list. Some countries might be taken off. So this could be expanded in the months ahead.
So, Steve, break this down for us. Who is actually affected by this latest order? Obviously, green card holders have been taken out of that list, right? So who's going to be affected? Iraq is no longer in that list.
Right, and that was under considerable pressure from Baghdad because of the cooperation with the United States military. And the other countries are objecting to this. So the countries that were on the list, their citizens are the ones that are affected by this the most. But as I said, the reality at the borders is there's much more extreme vetting going on. Not just people who are from these particular countries.
That extreme vetting is going to go on regardless of whether there's a legal challenge or not.
It may be. It depends on what the directives are coming out of the White House and the Department of Homeland Security.
What was different about this time around, Steve, is that unlike the first ban in January, there's a rollout for this one. This did not come on suddenly so that people were shocked or surprised.
That caused tremendous disruption, and that was one of the reasons that states wanted to go to federal court and basically calling this an emergency. So there should be less chaos now, at least at the airports, as far as.
So when does this new ban take effect?
It goes into effect, I think it's March 16th, right?
March 16th, so fairly soon. We shall see. And if there's a legal challenge there, of course, that may be pushed back, but we'll probably have you on again talking about that. That's all the time we have, though. My thanks to Steve Herman and, of course, all our correspondents today. We hope you'll join us again next week. But in the meantime, stay informed with the latest news and developments around the world at voanews.com. You can also check out all of our shows there simply by clicking on the Watch tab on the upper right of the website. We're also on Facebook and YouTube at VOA The Correspondents. I thank you for watching. I'm Mil Arcega, and for now, so long from Washington.